Hello there, Stevos, and welcome to this week's episode of the movie wrap up here on my YouTube channel, SteevOfficial. Now, last week's episode, obviously, I had only the one movie to talk about. This week, admittedly, I had fallen a little bit unwell. And I have vlogged about that, to be honest, and stuff. So that's going to be coming up in my next video that you guys will see tomorrow, which will be the 24th of June 2024 at 4 PM UK time when my weekly vlog comes out. But in between getting unwell and stuff, I have actually managed to watch some episodes of the movie, episodes. I have managed to watch movies on various different streaming services. I do apologise, I'm literally just taking my jumper off because I mean business when I take my jumper off. But no, in all seriousness though, I have been watching some movies this week via Netflix and various other different streaming services and stuff. Or is it mostly Netflix? I think it's mostly Netflix I've been watching movies on this week. I've been playing a bit of catch up because it's been a while since I last watched movies on Netflix, especially like the Netflix originals and stuff. So, without further ado, I've taken my jumper off. Without further ado, let's have a look and see what movies I've been watching this week and my thoughts on each movie as we go along. You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap Up, episode 32, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. The first movie we're reviewing in this episode is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. And I also just say, before we get into this review, that also as well, I have put a light on. It's because I'm actually filming this quite late, so there we are. You know, I'm up late, I'm working late, you know. Yeah, a little bit of Sabrina Carpenter kind of reference there for espresso. Anyway, listen, right, let me talk about this. This is the first movie that I watched this past week. It is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and I gave it 1.5 star over on Letterboxd. Now, where do I even begin with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2? Firstly, it does have some new set of characters, like we have the introduction of Christopher Robin's father, mother and sister. We also know that Christopher Robin also had a little brother called Billy, who was kidnapped, which Christopher witnessed happen during a children's party when he was younger, which left him traumatised and is still dealing with the trauma from back then as an adult, to the point where we see him have therapy sessions. We also know in the movie that Christopher Robin has, a job. He works in a hospital, so it was nice that, that we do get to see Christopher Robin have a life, like his see his occupation, see his other family members in this movie, compared to the last one, where he was rather useless and wasn't helpful in any way. I felt as though the first time around Christopher Robin was just a pointless character. So I am glad to see the character was developed a lot better in this. I'm going to give the creators some credit here, because Winnie the Pooh and Piglet had an upgrade in this movie. They looked far better and more terrifying in this than they did in the first movie that we were given about a year or so ago. And we have the introduction of other characters like Owl and Tigger, so now they're part of the Pooniverse too. The first movie actually does play a small role in this film as well, because Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Owl and Tigger are all known as the 100 Acre Wood Massacre. Words that I thought I would never ever say in my life, but here we are. But the events of the first movie, though, and they established that the first movie is a horror movie, by the way. But this horror movie does affect Christopher Robin in real life. People think he was the one that caused the murders in 100 Acre Wood, but he didn't. It was Pooh and his friends. But it does get to the point where he ends up losing his job at the hospital, though, because of this horror movie and how it can reflect badly on the hospital. I think at this point, if my life was turned into a horror movie and it affected me in reality, then I think I would have sued the creators for coming up with this movie. Did he not think of doing that? Owl, Tigger and Piglet seem to have voices of their own, whereas Pooh still doesn't talk. Although there is this one scene in particular where we see a part of the first Blood and Honey movie on a TV screen, and we do hear Winnie the Pooh say, "It's Poohin' time." A slight reference to the movie that people made after Morbius came out, when people were saying it's Morbin time. But anyways, I did find that a little funny, but a little cringe at the same time. Maybe next time I take a dump on the loo, I might just say it's Poohin' time. Maybe that could be a new catchphrase going forward. Who knows? But anyway, was this a great movie? No, it wasn't. Did I still enjoy it though? Well, slightly. It did have its moments where it did shine, its moments where I did laugh a little bit. Not full belly laughs though, but just some snigger moments, I guess you could say. You can still tell that this is a low-budget horror movie, unfortunately. But what I will say is the prosthetics used in this film do seem a lot better, and it does get slightly more gorier than the first film as well. So there is that to enjoy if you're into your gore. It does slightly delve into body horror a little on a very low budget, which you can easily tell is fake. Now, I know and I am aware that they are making a third film, which apparently will have more of a budget than the first and second film put together has, and will be part of this new Pooniverse that they are doing with these twisted childhood horror films. I will likely watch the other movie. I know they probably won't get better, but we shall wait and see. I will truly be surprised if any of these Pooniverse films actually prove me wrong and become a film that I would happily see over and over again. The acting though from all the actors in this wasn't good or great, which again made me feel like I was definitely watching a low budget horror movie. I think that the main reason I will give this a 1.5 star is because it is slightly better than the first film in the way it does on a low budget film. Look at it looks a lot more gorier, and the design for Pooh, Piglet, Owl and Tigger does look really awesome. But that aside, I'm afraid, is the only reason why I will give it that rating. There is one final thing, usually, that that I did want to point out. Despite watching this film for the first time, there was a little hidden reference, which I instantly knew. So Christopher Robin was looking up crime in 2003, the year his brother was kidnapped in 100 Acre Wood, and there was an article which the character scrolled past about zombie deers, and it being to do with toxic waste or something like that. Anyways, I got the reference because the people behind this movie are currently making a Bambi the Reckoning horror movie based on the character Bambi, who becomes a killer deer. So I think we are going to see Bambi as like this zombie-like figure based on the reference I saw in this movie. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 will be available to buy on digital stores in the US on June 26th and on UK digital store 2 days later on June 28th. Will I be buying this movie to buy and keep? Well, I do have the first one on digital to keep, so I might as well, despite the low rating I've given it, I might as well buy this one to keep and just add it to the Pooniverse collection, I guess. Ultraman Rising. By the way, if I do burp, because I'm having to kind of stop in between doing reviews and having to take sips of my drink. At the moment, I'm drinking this orange and mango sparkling water. Ever since I became ill, and I'm starting to get better now, by the way, but I've started to now become quite obsessed with drinking flavoured water. And to be honest, the sparkling water stuff is pretty good. It was meant to be still water that I was supposed to have picked up, but I accidentally picked up sparkling water. And you know what sparkling water does? It might make you a little bit gassy. So I do apologise if I do burp anymore. But moving on to the next movie, though, that I'm going to be talking about this week. And it's Ultraman Rising, which I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. So Ultraman Rising released on streaming service Netflix globally on June 14th, 2024, while I was away celebrating my partner's birthday. But this is definitely a movie that I was looking forward to watching when I got back, and I have now watched this. So what did I think? Well, before the movie got released, I first discovered that this was being released this year, all the way back in autumn last year. Netflix released a first look image of it, and already the animation took my breath away based on the image that we was given. Then there was a sizzle reel of what was coming to Netflix, which Ultraman was part of, and based off the clips from that, I was looking forward to seeing the film again based on the animation. A few weeks back we was given a trailer, and again based on the trailer I was excited to see it. I also found out just a few days before this movie was released on Netflix that there is actually a TV show on Netflix called Ultraman, which has 3 seasons to its name. Do you need to watch the TV series to understand this movie? Surprisingly, no, you don't need to watch or see the TV series to understand the film, because at the beginning of the movie it's pretty much explained as to who Ultraman is. So if you want to give the TV show a watch straight after seeing the movie, then at least you'll have the knowledge as to who this character is. I will say that the development of Ultraman was strong, whereas when the main lead, Ken, or Kenji as his family call him, I felt was a little too weak. I think it was at its slightly strongest though when we see Ken struggling to balance his job. He works as a baseball player, living the double life as Ultraman, and now he has a baby Kaju to look after as well. So at times the plot does seem a little generic, as there has been family-friendly movies that have done this plot many times before, where the main character has to bring up a baby that was abandoned or lost from its parents. But I do think, though, seeing Ken struggling to balance all the things as mentioned was when we see the human development quite strong in this movie. Shannon Tyndall is the one who directed this movie, and I do think that Shannon Tyndall did an amazing job with this film. And prior to its release, Shannon did speak to press and told them that there's potential that there might be another 2 or 3 movies in the pipeline for this franchise. Something which I would welcome, as long as the story and the plot was right and done right. As mentioned before, the animation in this is fantastic and amazing, and I really enjoyed how colourful it was, and I think this was a great watch for families to enjoy. I think this is something that all the family, no matter what the age is, can enjoy. It does have heart and soul, and I do find it rather wholesome as well. There are some creative animation pieces in this, and it leaves me wondering as to whether the TV series does the same thing as well. I think the music scoring was decent, and while the pacing at the very beginning felt very rushed, but I do think as we get a little further into the movie, the pacing managed to find itself, managed to find its feet, its balance. The running time was a little lengthy, but still rather enjoyable though, with a running time of exactly 2 hours. The movie at the end has set itself up for a potential sequel, so I reckon that the creators will definitely do a sequel. At the time of doing this review, this is currently at number 2 in the Netflix children's charts here in the UK, which is good for a movie that I have watched, which only came out a few days ago. So if you do want to catch Ultraman Rising for yourself, it is now available to stream globally over on Netflix. Irish Wish. Irish Wish I gave 1 star over on Netflix, over on Letterboxd, sorry. Irish Wish, so I swear that this was supposed to be a movie from Hallmark. I'm convinced this was supposed to be released by Hallmark. Hallmark saw it and thought it would be... Stuff's going down out there. Thanks. Anyway, back to the movie review. So yeah, I swear that this was supposed to be a movie from Hallmark. I'm convinced that this was supposed to be released by Hallmark. Hallmark saw it and thought it would be better off being distributed to another service, and that service happened to be Netflix. Irish Wish is such a terrible movie. The dialogue and script just seemed to be all over the place. The music scoring was really cheesy. The movie itself just felt rather cheesy, and it just all felt rather rushed. There wasn't a lot of character development in here. There was so many characters in this movie and so many actors who didn't get their time to shine on screen, unfortunately. But to be honest, most of the characters on the screen I just found to be rather annoying, snobby, stuck up, and just being over dramatic when played by the actors and actresses who portrayed their characters on screen. The movie has a running time of 1 hour 30 minutes, 90 minutes of my life that sadly I will never get back. The only decent thing that I can say about this movie is that there are some stunning scenery within this movie, which I did like. Lindsay Lohan is the main lead in the film, and even I am surprised that she read the script and wanted to star in this movie. But then again, I think Netflix wanted to get a big movie star like Lindsay Lohan in so that it can draw in a big audience. I don't know whether that paid off or not based on the reviews from other Letterboxd reviewers that I've seen. I didn't think it did pay off, but Irish Wish is available to stream on Netflix globally. And now that I've given this bad review, I think it's time for the police to just come and arrest me for giving Irish Wish a bad review. Arrest me, coppers. Arrest me. Atlas. So the next movie that I have watched this week is Atlas, and I gave it 0.5 star over on Letterboxd. So the tagline for this movie is "The future of humanity is in her hands." Well, if it's in her hands, then we are all gonna die, because with Atlas, despite releasing on Netflix a few weeks ago, I have now watched it, and did I enjoy this one? Given the fact that my previous review was a Netflix original, and this movie is also a Netflix original, it's safe to say that I have now not just wasted 90 minutes watching a terrible movie, but I've now wasted, 3 hours of my day, or 3 hours of my life, that unfortunately I will never get back. Remember that film, The Fall Guy, that came out earlier this year? Within that movie, they were making a movie which obviously for us was fake and it didn't look great. Well, that is the only way that I can describe Atlas. Atlas was such a terrible movie. I really do think that Netflix need to think about their sci-fi movies and where they're going wrong, because even Rebel Moon, which again was another sci-fi movie, wasn't great, but I won't hold Netflix fully responsible for that. I do blame Snyder slightly as well. In the movie Atlas, we have Jennifer Lopez and Simu Liu. Fans will recognise him as Shang-Chi in the MCU. Now, while both of the characters that they respectively play in this film do pretty much carry this film, the rest of it just wasn't great. The visual effects just seemed to be very off. The script at times felt like it was written by AI, which is funny because this is exactly what the movie is mostly based upon. But the script for me just didn't work, and I do feel as though at times I just got bored with watching this movie, and it did just feel like its running time, which for those wondering does clock in at nearly 2 hours. I won't lie, I was glad when the movie ended. Is this a film that I recommend to people looking for something to watch on Netflix? No, this isn't. I'd recommend other movies that I have enjoyed. Is this a movie that I will remember? No, this isn't. Actually, at the time of doing this review, I can hardly remember what happened at the beginning of the movie. See, I've already forgotten about it, and my final question is: will I go back and rewatch this movie again? In the future? Well, probably when the day the world is completely taken over by AI, so that I can just remember how bad this movie is. But in all seriousness, based on my thoughts and my review for this movie, this isn't a film I would be happy to rewatch again. For those who do want to check this film out though, Atlas is now streaming globally over on Netflix. The End We Start From. The End We Start From, I gave 1.5 star over on Letterboxd. So The End We Start From, it came out last year, had a short theatrical run in cinemas, at least here in the UK anyways, and has only just within the last week been released on Netflix here in the UK. So therefore, I was able to give this one a watch. Did I miss out seeing this in the cinema? Well, yes I did, but was it worth missing in the cinema though? Well, not really. The characters for me weren't really developed enough. The characters just seemed to be rather thin. The plot seemed to be a little bit thin as well. The movie does star the likes of Joel Fry, Benedict Cumberbatch and Jodie Comer, which I will admit, Jodie Comer is the only actress that carries this film, and the character that she plays is the only character that carries the film as well. The movie is based on a novel, not that I've read the novel for myself, and I don't think I have any interest on reading the novel, but just judging based on how the movie does play out on screen, I think it's probably better to think about in book form rather than seeing this on screen. The film itself is described as a thriller, which yes, I do definitely get why it's deemed as a thriller because of all the climate issues raised within this movie, but at the same time it was rather slow burning. I think that's the problem for me, was the fact that this movie was slow burning and the fact that we didn't have enough character development on screen either. It just made me wish that this movie would just end already. The movie has a running time of 1 hour 42 minutes, and for me, I felt as though it was longer than that. I wish the movie had been a bit longer, maybe 20 minutes or half an hour longer, so that we had more room here for character development and get to know the characters a little bit better. The music scoring in this wasn't too bad and fits the movie perfectly, and I will say that there was some light-hearted moments in this movie, which kept the movie somewhat entertaining at times. The End We Start From is now able to stream on Netflix here in the UK. Nyad. Next movie I've watched is Nyad, or Nyad. I mean, it's in capital letters, so is it Nyad or Nyad? But it's based on an athlete called Diane Nyad, though. So we'll just go with Nyad. But Nyad, though, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. So Nyad is a movie that actually was a movie that was released on Netflix around the world it came out towards the end of last year, and here I am now in June 2024, only just reviewing this movie. But what did I think of this Netflix original movie? Well, first of all, the film is based on a true story. The plot for this film is about an athlete called Diane Nyad, who sets out at the age of 60 years old to achieve a nearly impossible lifelong dream, which is to swim from Cuba to Florida across more than 100 miles of open ocean. Now, I did think that this was an incredible story to tell. Yes, we do see at the beginning of the film, we see the character of Diane feel like giving up at the first hurdle, and she really does think that what she wants to do and wants to achieve is very impossible. But she battled through it with the help of friends and her coach as well to achieve what she and many other people thought was impossible. I thought the pacing for the movie was pretty decent, and the storytelling was told in a great way. I love the use of underwater filmed scenes as well. The running time for this film was roughly around 2 hours long, which for me didn't outstay its welcome, which is great. The movie does star Jodie Foster, Annette Bening, who, by the way, plays the main lead of the movie, Diane Nyad, and Rhys Ifans also stars in the movie as well. So Nyad is available to stream globally on the streaming service Netflix if you do want to check it out for yourself. Past lives. So the next movie that I have watched this week is Past Lives over on Netflix, and I've given this a 4-star rating over on Letterboxd. Now, I can't believe that this movie came out roughly a year ago, and it has only taken me until now to watch it. Saying that though, there's quite a few movies that is on the Letterboxd watch list that were released back in 2023 and that I still need to watch. Past Lives though was such a great movie. I will admit I have never really been a fan of subtitled foreign movies, and there is another review coming very soon which will have subtitled foreign language. Now, the reason why I don't really like the subtitled foreign language movies is partially because half the time my eyes are drawn to the bottom of the screen reading the English subtitles which the characters are saying in their respective foreign language. And for this movie, a lot of the time you are reading the text in English as to what the characters are saying in Korean, unless you understand the Korean language very well, then you'll understand exactly what they're saying. But let's not allow this to take away how great this movie was though. The storytelling within this film was told in such a beautiful way. The pacing just felt right, and it kept me rather engaged in this film. And there was some moments in here which actually hit home for me and broke my heart. So this is definitely a film that will pull you on the heartstrings. What's interesting about this movie is that although the majority of this film is spoken in Korean and has English subtitles, but I can understand though the true meaning of the film. How difficult long distance can be. Long distance is hard. I should know myself. I'm currently in a long distance relationship right now. My partner lives 2.5 hours away, but even some of my past relationships again have been long distance, and they've lived even further than that, and the distance is difficult, but because you love someone so much though, you do make it work. In this film though, it wasn't so much a long distance relationship. At first we see these two characters, one boy and one girl. They go to the same school as each other, and they are very competitive when it comes to grades in school. The young girl is moving away from Seoul to start a new life as her family decide to emigrate to New York City. Her dad is a movie director and her mother is a writer. So with that, the family leave to start a new life in New York City. But before they do, the girl called Na Young tells her mother that she has a crush on this boy at her school, and so decides she wants to go on a date with him before they leave. They have a date with one another while both of their respective mothers sit on the bench and have a chat with one another. I found that scene to be quite sweet and heartwarming. And Hai Sung, who is the boy that Na Young had a crush on, finds out that she is leaving. They walk home together on her last day of school, like they always have done every day after school, and they don't talk to one another on this particular day until they go their separate ways for what seems like forever. When Na Young moves to New York City, she decides it's time for her to change her name. She goes now by the name as Nora. We see a little montage of her growing up in her teenage years a little, and then into her adulthood. She speaks to her mother over the phone, and she happens to be searching up old school friends to see what they are up to and see how they've changed since she last saw them all those years ago. She asks her mother who the guy was she had a major crush on before she left to move to New York City, and searched his name up. He happened to have been looking for her via Facebook a few months prior, so she decides to get back in contact with him. The power of social media these days. But they remain in contact despite the different time zones in Seoul and New York City. What's funny is that they use the video calling service Skype to video call, something which me and a friend actually still use to video call on a weekly basis, but just them being on Skype with each other for some reason reminded me of the film Unfriended. I don't know why, it just did, but it just gets to the point where they video call one another so much that Nora makes a heartbreaking decision that they need to stop video calling for a while, which was sad for Hai Sung because he spent 12 years looking for her after striking up a bond. This isn't what he wanted to happen, but he accepts it's what she wants, so he decides that it's best for them to not talk for a while. What's more difficult is, although I brought up the long distance relationship thing earlier in the review, but for this premise, it seemed like a long distance friendship, so you can imagine having to hear the words, "I don't want to speak to you for a while," coming from the other end of the call. It's a heartbreaking thing, so I did feel for Hai Sung when Nora did tell him that. I won't go into any more detail about this movie because of spoiler reasons, but I will say though that I thought this movie was acted out so beautifully. You have Greta Lee, who played Nora, Teo Yu, who played Hai Sung, and John Magaro, who played Arthur, who later on in the movie does become Nora's husband. The movie is also directed by Celine Song, and I believe this was also Celine's directorial debut as well. I must also say that this movie was also made by the independent movie studio A24, who have in the past made some amazing films under their belt, so many which I could probably recommend. The movie came out last year. I think the reason why I didn't see this in cinemas was because of its limited theatrical run, but it's only recently been released on Netflix here in the UK, which has given me the opportunity to sit down and watch this film for myself, especially as I knew this movie had such a good rating on Letterboxd. So if you live in the UK and are stuck for a film to watch on Netflix, I would definitely recommend giving this one a watch, especially with its beautifully written and acted out story. The Kitchen. So The Kitchen, I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. The Kitchen is a movie that was released on Netflix last year, which I have only just got around to watching. But did I enjoy this movie as much as I was hoping to? And is this a movie that I would say that you should rush out to watch? Well, unfortunately for me, this wasn't my kind of cup of tea. I will say though that I did love what this movie was doing in terms of having the futuristic dystopian look in London. So the film was set in the future in London, and I tell you what, the way how it looked so futuristic in this movie, I thought looked great, and some of the scenery was also really well done as well. So that is probably why I would give this movie the 2-star rating, because of how futuristic London looked, because this movie is set in London, and just how well they managed to pull that look off. I just found the plot to be rather dull, boring and bland, and it doesn't bring anything fresh or original to the table, which is ironic given this is a Netflix original movie. What's also ironic about this is the fact that this is Get Out actor Daniel Kaluuya's directorial debut, as he directed this movie, and he does have more movies to come in the near future, which I am hoping will be better than what this one was. I am really hoping that his work on the upcoming Barney film will be better than this. You don't have a lot of recognisable faces in this movie, although ex-footballer Ian Wright does star in this movie as Lord Kitchener, so there is that. But Kane Robinson stars as the main lead character in this movie, who is called Izzy. The movie does have a running time of 1 hour and 48 minutes, and I know I said earlier in the review that the plot was dull, bland and boring, but the plot for this movie was about Izzy and how close he is to escaping the kitchen, one of London's last remaining housing estates. But when young Benji enters his life, he faces some hard decisions. But anyway, if you do want to give this movie a watch for yourself, I'm coming off camera for a second. If you do want to see this movie for yourself, then it is available to stream right now over on Netflix. Trigger warning. The next movie I've watched this week is Trigger Warning, which I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. So Trigger Warning is a brand new movie which has only just dropped on Netflix, and thankfully I'm nearly up to date with all the movies that have come out recently on Netflix over the past few months. But is this a movie that I enjoyed and would recommend for people to watch? Well, yes, kind of. Not going to lie here, but Trigger Warning does have some decent action sequences in here. We aren't talking John Wick level kind of action sequences, but the action choreography was pretty decent. I will say though that the movie itself does feel rather rushed, and I do feel like I wish we had a bit more of an extended running time for this film, so that we could have more character development and maybe more room for the story to be told. The script, however, though, it does feel in places rather clunky and at times quite lazy writing as well, which is a shame. However, though, the lead, Jessica Alba, who plays the character of Parker, did a great job, and I do think that she was surrounded by some great supporting cast members as well. And then something's just dropped. So you know, she did a great job, and I do think she was surrounded by some great supporting cast members, as well as you had the likes of Mark Webber, Anthony Michael Hall and Jake Weary, all star in this movie alongside Alba. The movie does have a running time of 1 hour and 45 minutes. I just wish we had maybe an extra 20 minutes so we had a bit more development for the characters and more room for the story to be told, as mentioned earlier in the review. The plot for this movie is about a Special Forces commando who uncovers a dangerous conspiracy when she returns to her hometown looking for answers into her beloved father's death. The movie is directed by Morley Sawyer, who I don't think I have heard of before or watched any of their previous work as a director. If you do want to check out Trigger Warning for yourself though, the movie has just dropped globally on the streaming service Netflix. Chicken Run. So Chicken Run, I gave 3 stars over on Letterboxd. A family-friendly movie, a movie that kids will enjoy, a movie that adults will enjoy, a movie that came out during my childhood, a movie which I believe I had on VHS all those years ago, or at least someone in my family had on VHS all those years ago. And for those that don't understand what VHS means, it means videotapes. God, I am getting so old these days. Nonetheless though, this film is a classic, and I do have a shocking admission to make right now, which will probably shock you to the core. I have never ever watched Chicken Run until now. I may have seen bits of it here and there as a child, but not actually watched it in full until now. And yet, like I said at the start of this review, someone within my family home had this movie on VHS all those years ago. So what did I think of this movie? Well, hats off to Aardman Studios who made this film, because this film is made from stop motion animation, and back when this film was made, it would have taken them ages for them to make this movie possible. Just like some of their other projects like Wallace and Gromit. Now that I can admit I have seen before. And there is another project that I used to love watching as a kid growing up, which I think at one point I became obsessed with, and that was Creature Comforts, a TV show which again was made by Aardman Studios. Chicken Run does definitely have that British feel to it for sure, and does have a short running time during clocking in at 1 hour and 20 minutes. But then again, can you blame Aardman for the short running time for this film? It would have taken them ages or even longer, even longer if they had made this movie 2 hours or more back in the day. Again, the plot behind this film is about the main character of the film, Ginger the chicken, having been hopelessly repressed and facing eventual certain death at the British chicken farm where they are held. Ginger, along with the help of Rocky, the American rooster, decide to rebel and lead their fellow chickens in a great escape from the murderous farmers Mr. and Mrs. Tweedy and their farm of doom. You have a voice cast of Jane Horrocks, Mel Gibson, Lisa Kay and Phil Daniels, who all lend their voices for this classic animated movie. I do also believe that this not only is Chicken Run streaming on Netflix here in the UK, but it's also streaming on Disney Plus here in the UK as well, for those that want to check it out on there. The reason why I've watched this now is because not only because I wanted to see this movie in full properly, but because last year Netflix released a sequel to Chicken Run, which I'm going to review in my next review, which is coming up next. Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. So finally this week, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. I gave exactly the same rating as I did with Chicken Run, the original movie. I gave that 3 stars. I'm giving Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget 3 stars as well over on Letterboxd. So despite having not much nostalgia for this movie, but at the very back end of 2023, Netflix graced us with this movie, Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. And while this film had an extra 20 minutes of running time compared to the original clocked in at 1 hour and 20 minutes. This one clocked in at 1 hour and 40 minutes. I think it did make use of the running time and flesh the story out for a little bit longer, which is great. But that being said though, 23 years ago, it would have taken the studio behind the film, Aardman Studios, a lot longer to make this film back then than it did now. We've had 23 years worth of technology upgrades and stuff. I will say that while the animation in this felt fine and did look good and colourful, I will say that this felt more like your average animated movie than a stop motion animated movie. Something which I fear might be a downside to the new Wallace and Gromit film that's coming from Aardman later in 2024. A film I will be reviewing at the end of the year as well. But for me though, seeing this as a generic animated movie and not so much stop motion, it did make me appreciate this film a lot less than the original. But that being said though, the characters were still made out of clay as always, so that I can appreciate the movie for. What I also love about this film is at the beginning we have a little recap of what happened in the last movie from 23 years ago, just in case there is new viewers out there who haven't seen the original and want a brief overview as to what happened. Well, they tell the story in the space of 2 minutes as a recap, or even as a little reminder to those viewers out there who haven't seen the film in years. I will say though that this film did have its fun moments, moments that the kids will enjoy, and moments that maybe even some adults watching this will enjoy. I would like to think there's something in here that everyone will enjoy watching. The plot for the movie is about a band of fearless chickens who flock together to save poultry kind from an unsettling new threat, a nearby farm that is cooking up something suspicious. I will say that the plot for me was fine enough as a family-friendly movie, and there was enough time in here for the story to be fleshed out and stay relevant and engaging for the viewers to enjoy. The script again I thought was fine, maybe not all perfect, but again this is a family-friendly movie which was fun and didn't take itself too seriously neither. The cast members in here have had a little bit of a refresh. Beforehand you had Mel Gibson voice the role of Rocky the Rooster. Now he is voiced by Zachary Levi. Thandaway Newton voices Ginger. Bella Ramsey voices the role of Molly, who happens to be Ginger and Rocky's child in the film. You have other supporting cast members who lend their voices. Jane Horrocks returns to lend her voice for the film. She of course voiced one of the chickens in the original. You've also got David Bradley, Daniel Mays and Romesh Raghunathan also have supporting roles in this film as well. They also lend their voices for this film as well. So if you do want to check out Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, it has been available on Netflix since the back end of 2023. But if you've not yet checked it out though, it is now streaming globally over on Netflix right now. I don't know how it's possible. So before I got ill, I was watching films. I got ill. I basically just sat down and just binged my way through some episodes of The Simpsons on Disney Plus. And then got better. And then I got back on the movie bandwagon and I've just been watching more and more movies. And that is why in this week's episode of the movie wrap up, I have basically had a lot of movies to talk about and a lot of movies to review. So there we go. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to let you guys know that yes, my weekly vlog is coming out tomorrow at 4 PM. I haven't done a lot. I haven't done a major lot in this week's episode of the vlog. I do go into more detail really as to what happened when I became really unwell. So there is that. I am going to give you that warning now. I just want to let you guys know that I am feeling a lot better than what I was halfway through this week. So it's great to be back filming and stuff like that, because I did kind of pause filming at some point during this week because obviously where I was unwell I couldn't really film a lot, unfortunately. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what movies you guys have been watching this past week, whether it's old, new, in cinema, on streaming service, or, you know, if it's been on Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video. Who knows? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you are new around here and you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to become a Stevo. I will be back tomorrow, which will be the 24th of June 2024 at 4 PM UK time with my next weekly vlog episode, so I hope you guys stay tuned for that. And also as well, coming up on Wednesday this week as well, I am going to be doing a Let's Talk, well, not a Let's Talk, a TV wrap-up episode actually. In that episode, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on the brand new series of Doctor Who. Doctor Who has now come to an end, so I'm going to be talking about that as well, and that's going to be coming up on Wednesday the 26th of June 2024 at 4 PM UK time, and I hope you guys can enjoy watching that and enjoy my thoughts and views on that. And maybe you may agree, maybe you might disagree, but hey, there we go. But anyway, from me though, for now, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys again in my next YouTube video.